Welcome back to FryMinis. I'm Eric, and today I want to tell you about the Fartouched, an aberration-themed homebrew race for D&D 5e. So I don't think we already have a Far Realm, aberration, almost horror-themed race yet. Allow me to introduce the Fartouched. But before we get into it, let me tell you how you can actually get this race. There are two ways. One, on D&D Beyond, it's available right now. You can add it to your character with your DM's permission. And two, you can pick it up as a PDF exclusive to FryMinis Spud Club Patreon. We've got links for both in the description. So the Fartouched are those that have experienced the incomprehensible horror of the Far Realm. They may have had an ancestor that had a close encounter with an aberration, or maybe they were personally flung through the dark reaches of the Beyond. However they became a Fartouched, the lingering essence of the Far Realm mostly impacts the mind, enhanced intelligence, mental fortitude, minor telepathy. These are common expressions of the warping caused by the Far Realm, along with a tendency towards extreme chaotic alignments. Any medium-sized race can become a Fartouched. Aside from the Eldritch Manifestations, which we'll cover in a little bit, they maintain the general looks and cosmetic traits of their original race. So you could be a human, an elf, a triton, or even a minotaur. As a Fartouched, you'll probably have a name similar to something from your original race, but with a little bit of a strange twist on it. If your name is Steve, you might go by Stave or Steve. You might have some tics or strange behaviors. You might seem distant or erratic. And if you were personally transformed into a Fartouched, you may or may not remember your original life. The Fartouched may develop strange personality quirks. So to help you develop your character, I've included the Fartouched Foibles table. It's a list of character traits that align with the general theme of the Fartouched. You can roll on it or take your pick. You and those around you might scream in your sleep. You might be terrified of the night sky. You might see things in the shadows that nobody else sees, or you might dream of floating in the inky void. I really enjoy little tables like this. It just gives you a little bit of a way to kind of put a spin on your character if you need help. And I've even included some racial feats, which we'll cover at the end. I do have a little disclaimer here. This was all written with Wizards of the Coast's previous approach to races in mind. So if you want to customize your character with the rules from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, change out your languages, change up your stats, go for it. That's great. Make your character your own. With your DM's permission, of course. For your languages, you get Common, Deep Speech, and a language normally spoken by your original race. So while a Fartouched elf might take Elvish, you can of course just pick whatever you'd like here. Your ability score increases here are tied to your mind. You get +2 intelligence and +1 charisma. Your age, it's average for your race. And while of course you're free to choose whatever you'd like for your alignment, a typical Fartouched might lean towards chaotic, whether good or evil, just rarely neutral. Your size is medium. Any medium-sized creature can become a Fartouched. Full disclosure, the only reason this is medium is because at the time D&D Beyond did not support a way to choose your size, but I won't tell anybody if you want to be small. Your speed is the standard 30 feet. All right, Aberrant Arcana. This is our first real meaty Fartouched racial trait. You're going to get 2 spells with this: the Message Cantrip and Find Familiar, castable as a ritual. Of course, we do have a little bit of an aberrant twist here. When you cast Find Familiar using this feature, you ignore the material cost and instead you take force damage equal to half your character level, rounded up, as the familiar erupts from you. This damage ignores resistances and immunities and can't be reduced in any way. If you use this feature to summon a familiar, it's an aberration instead of a celestial fae or fiend. And it'll take on some cosmetic aspect of your Eldritch Manifestation. So picture it kind of like aliens, where it's like bursting from your chest, erupting out of you, maybe growing out of your eyeball, something weird. And if you're able to cast Find Familiar in a different way, maybe with a spell slot or an item, you're able to use this structure to summon it. You'll still take the damage, but that way you're able to use that spell slot so you're not needing to cast it as a full ritual. And the Message Cantrip is kind of sort of a soft way to give a little bit of a feeling of telepathy. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability for both of these spells. All right, here's the big one, Eldritch Manifestation. This is my favorite part of the whole race. In some capacity, your body has been physically warped by its experience with the Far Realm. We've got a table included of these Eldritch Manifestations you can roll or pick. Each has its own flavorful cosmetic trait along with a skill proficiency. Eldritch Endurance. Your arms and legs grow by 1d6 inches. You still are a medium-sized creature, but you gain proficiency in athletics. Eldritch Mind. Your eyes permanently become a solid color of your choice and you gain proficiency in Arcana. Eldritch Protuberance. You grow 1d4 fleshy tentacles on your face that are 1d12 inches in length. These function as a sensory organ and give you proficiency with perception. You can't use the tentacles for any shenanigans like holding your spellcasting focus or anything. Just have big floppy tentacles. Eldritch Tinge. Regardless of your color or texture, your skin takes on an iridescent sheen. This glimmer gives you proficiency in persuasion or intimidation. I absolutely love this table. You can do some really weird things with this, and one of our homebrew racial feats focuses on improving this table. Okay, and our last racial trait, Psychic Fortitude. You have seen some stuff. You gain resistance to psychic damage, and your thoughts can't be read against your will. And if somebody does try to read your mind, they're overwhelmed by a sense of horror. Now, mechanically, that can mean whatever your DM wants it to, but just imagine you put your foot in a wet shoe, that kind of reaction. Okay, so I think the Far-Touched is a super duper cool, gross, and weird race, but let me show you these racial feats. Okay, so first up we have Star Touched. Your Eldritch Manifestation strengthens, giving you expertise in the skill that you chose. And this is where you're really gonna get weird. You gain the cosmetic effects of all of the manifestations you did not choose. So now you've got long limbs, glowing skin, blank eyes, and tentacles on your face. And our second is Void Touch, and this is going to give you 2 traits. Mental Shield. You have advantage on intelligence and charisma saving throws as your mind hardens its mental defenses. And Void Sight. You can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 30 feet as your senses adapt to the emptiness of the void. So you're gaining advantage on 2 mental saves that are pretty rare, but would come in handy if you're stuck in the Far Realm. And you're dipping your toes just a little bit into the Warlock world with this toned down version of Devil Sight. You may remember the actual race doesn't have dark vision, so this is super handy. Also, at your DM's discretion, maybe you could pick up a racial feat for your previous race. I think it mostly depends if it makes sense for your character or not. Alright, so that is my Aberrant homebrew race. Again, the Far-Touched are available on D&D Beyond right now, or as part of my monthly PDFs available on my Patreon. And I just restructured all of my Patreon tiers, so we've got new perks, new benefits, and it's even easier than ever to get these PDFs. Please consider supporting the channel. Become a patron today. So first of all, thank you to all of my patrons. So I'd like to say a special thank you to these patrons in particular. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's your support that keeps me going. Alright, if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, share it with your friends. Come join us over on Discord. I've got links in the description for everything. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.